Dandadan has been about the only anime this season that I felt was consistently fun through and through. That's a dig at this thing if you couldn't tell. If you're looking for a number rating, I'm not going to keep that from you. It's a 7.5 out of 10, solid characters, great animation, banger opening, but lacking in a couple of key areas. What I want to discuss is whether the show is worth your time, which is, I think, another question entirely from whether or not it's good. So, without further ado, here's Dandadan Season 1 reviewed. Before we discuss the story, I need to get my first and biggest criticism out of the way. Viewer discretion is very much advised. Dandadan features a lot of jokes about human anatomy. I wouldn't call it fan service. In fact, I liken it more to potty humor, a sort of immature laughing at the so-called dirty bits. But there's a lot of it, and sometimes not even I can excuse it. It's embedded into the main story such that it's impossible to avoid discussing, and it frequently treads in a territory that's largely unnecessary or inappropriate. I can appreciate how having the characters casually talk about these things does lead to stronger communication and mutual understanding.
ないっす。
何が
玉
は
玉がないっす。
Which is refreshing when you consider that the bulk of rom-com anime are plagued by and rely on frustrating amounts of miscommunication. At the same time, however, when almost every episode contains mentions of banana organs and family jewels, you start to feel at least a little uncomfortable. If you can't look past this, then I'd suggest clicking off now, because there's going to be a lot of that. For those that can look past it, here's the pitch. Momo Ayase believes in ghosts. Ken Takakura believes in aliens. Neither of them believe in the other. Ken dares Momo to visit an alien abduction site, and Momo dares him to visit a haunted tunnel. Chaos ensues, Momo gets kidnapped, Ken gets cursed, and both of them awaken special spiritual powers, at the cost of Ken's family jewels. The main quest from then on revolves around recovering Ken, now Okarun's bejeweled family jewels, all the while the two main leads become close friends with a strong indication of where their relationship is going to lead. This story setup is golden, pun very much intended. That said, I do think that this season suffers from a lack of forward motion. I'll get to the antagonists later, but the conflict with the Serpoians feels like it rarely leads anywhere. This is something that I know will be rectified later, which is why I have high hopes for a potential second season, but that doesn't excuse that it happens here. The real draw of this story is the characters. Momo and Okarun have such a fun but genuine dynamic. No misunderstanding is left hanging for too long, no annoyance is left unaddressed for the sake of comedy at the expense of characterization. This pairing is genuine, and you really get a feel for who these people are in short order. I'd like to highlight something that Nick with no K pointed out as well, which is that these characters are representative of the spiritual warfare that underscores this series. It's really interesting seeing them deal with having to fight battles and discuss conflicts that are beyond the scope of what the average person can see and engage with, despite the fact that it happens all around them, and as a Christian, this really strikes a chord with me. We'll get back to the characters in a second, but first, a brief word from today's sponsor, me. Subscribe if the dog gets it. Okay, back to the video. Let's talk about the side characters for a second. I found the rest of the cast pretty fun as well, though Grandma could afford to cover up some more and Shiratori could be more three-dimensional. Actually, on that point, Shiratori is probably the weakest member of the main cast, given that she has the least interactions with others out of anyone in the main four. Jin showed up at the end, and I'm cutting him a little slack, given that his story will make up the bulk of season 2. She just has too many misconceptions about Okarun and Momo, and nowhere near enough genuine or sincere interactions with them. She also has the most boring powers out of the main cast, at least by the end of this season. Shiratori isn't bad, she's just not very good either. That said, I do like the cast overall. What I don't like is the enemies, at least in part. There are some standouts certainly, but the most prominent enemies, the Serpoians, are not interesting enough to warrant the screen time they get. Not only that, but they're the main reason for why the below-the-belt humor often becomes uncomfortable. At a certain point, I found myself no longer laughing, and instead I just thought, oh, these are just literal rapists, huh? Thankfully, the one-off enemies make up for their deficiencies, and some even get you to care for them. The last thing I'd like to discuss is the production value. Throughout the whole season, the show has looked incredible. The fights are dynamic, the characters are satisfyingly detailed, the cinematography really sells every scene, and the show maintains a consistent style throughout. The debris and the destruction looks great, and I'd put the quality of destruction scenes up there with Boruto. I know y'all hate Boruto, and you're wrong! Oh, boo! Boo! Your boos mean nothing to me! I've seen what makes you cheer! I'm also a big fan of how the lighting changes during fight scenes, reminiscent of JoJo's Part 1. I'm realizing after watching Nick's video to make sure that I wasn't copying anything that he also mentions JoJo's, we're gonna look past that. I'm really digging the revival of stylized anime fights, and I hope to see more of this going forward, assuming a second season is greenlit. So to answer the question, is Dandadan worth your time? Yes, but with a big asterisk. If jokes about testicles turning into golden balls and aliens who abduct people to steal their genitals for reproductive research make you uncomfortable, or worse, lead you to sin, then this isn't the show for you. However, if you can look past the occasionally uncomfortable humor, and you don't struggle with lust, you might just find that there's a lot to like here. As I said above, it's a 7.5 out of 10. Not a must-watch, but definitely a fun way to kill time. Speaking of kill, if you could shoot me a like and hit that subscribe button, you'd be letting me know that you're interested in more anime season reviews. I would love to make more of these, so let me know which anime you'd like me to cover in the future. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.